being production ready? Okay, great. I'm not here to criticize, but I'm here to give you some good tips, and thanks to Nikhil in the last presentation from Airbnb, and he touched base on a couple of interesting points. And just to have the background ready, I was trying to do this presentation a couple of days before, and one of my colleagues said, yeah, you're going to talk about the same theory again and again. We know we have to be production ready, but can you show something to be production ready, what it means to be production ready, right? That's what we're going to talk about. But before that, just heading to the context, we all know all the industries around us today doing AI, some way or the other. Some of them are in production, some of them are not in production, but we know essentially it hits all the industries, medicine, manufacturing, banking, everything, right? So I did a personal survey asking to my friends, colleagues from different companies, and I asked them, how many of you are in production today? And then 70% say, yeah, we are in production. And 30% said, we are still in the development cycle and we're gonna go there, right? Then I try to deep down a little bit, what exactly it means by production. And then the result looks like this. Only 20% of them across the Europe, the people I surveyed, are really in production, meaning they can handle things as a production thingy, right? 50% even don't match the 50% criteria of what I call as a production. And today in this topic, we're gonna see what exactly is that and what are the things you should take care of, the first thing you think to put a machine learning model into production, right? The first thing, very much first thing is accessibility. Half of those people I spoke say, how do you generally deliver your machine learning and AI? And the first thing they came and talked to me is that, we have a set of data scientists or machine learning guys sitting there, and whoever has a problem, they talk to them, they run the job periodically and hand out the answers in an Excel sheet or in a dashboard, Power BI or something, and it's pretty much manual. But that's not what the industry is asking. The industry is asking something else. Think about you were working in a manufacturing company, and there is a supervisor on the field. He cannot call to your data scientist to get the answers, right? So you have to give the capability to the supervisor so that he can do his AI or machine learning by himself. And that I call accessibility. According to Gartner, by 2020, 80% of the people who are using AI will not be knowing there is an AI back there, right? So we have to find out a way how we can make it available for anybody who want to use an AI. And in Microsoft, we generally follow a pattern how we do our machine learning and AI. So this is your data. You have a lot of data sets. You have somehow prepared it, did the feature engineering and perfectly on that. So you create your model, and on top of model, you create an image, right? So this is a portable image. You can take it to anywhere you like, or you can run it on the cloud. Then you will define a compute in production where exactly your machine learning model gonna run. Is it a Kubernetes cluster? Is it a virtual machine? Or is it a computer in your home? Where exactly you're gonna deploy this in the production? And once you are done, then you will expose a web service at the end. And this web service gonna be the endpoint for the consumers. Everything that you see is the development. These are the data scientists, people back there, or the data analytics, or those guys back there in your company are responsible. And this is a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle. You're gonna bump up with a new feature, you're gonna change your model, you're gonna update your web service, you're gonna do a lot of things on that. But the consumer should not be impacted by this, right? And if this is a consumer, all he needs to get is a URI and a key. You have thousands of data scientists, fine, change your model 5 times a day, doesn't matter. But the guy who is in the field, the supervisor of the manufacturing company, he doesn't understand that's AI, so he doesn't need to be impacted by your continuous integration and development, right? So this is the architecture pretty much we follow in every AI machine learning cognitive that we have in Microsoft, and we kind of follow it very strictly. And this is what I call accessibility. So if you enable like that, anybody who is at the other side, and the consumer side, can really access it without talking to the development team. And in Microsoft Azure, this is what you get at the end. Can you see on the red box? I got a URI and a primary key. So all you need to give this URI and a primary key to your problem statement, put the question on this, call this API or a web service, and your prediction will be ready. That's what we call it as accessibility. And if you don't have this process somewhere in your production to do stuff like this, then you are not ready. Second, diagnostic. Half of the people I spoke, they didn't have something like this. I asked this. So you were running your AI or machine learning from last 6 months. Tell me how many times it was down. And they said, none, never. And I said, do you have a proof? And nobody of them have a proof. They just believe that their AI runs at the production just like God, right? But that's not the reality. You will see that many times you even don't know your AI model or machine learning model at the back is not even running and is giving default answer. And you will realize after 1 or 2 days. Do you have something like this capability in your ecosystem to handle this kind of cases? In Microsoft, we have automated graph like this. So when you boot up our systems and services, you will get those graphs automatic and you can customize them best upon your need. You can set up the time frame, 6 hours and stuff, and these are the things you get out of the box. Right? And that shows everything that your web service is doing, performing, starting from how much server time it is consuming, how much latency it has, how much memory it is consuming, and every aspect of that. Third, elasticity. So we all are into businesses, right? And in businesses, there are some good days, some bad days. Maybe in one day, you got a 1 million hit customer, and in the another day, it's only 100 customer. Right? And in a cloud era, we have to be elastic, meaning when there is huge number of customer, you have to go like this, and when there is none, you have to reduce. Your AI endpoints gonna get a lot of hits, right? In our tool sets, we got something like this. Are you gonna, while you are deploying, you're gonna set up how many replicas you want, minimum and maximum, and what is the threshold that you're looking for. Let's say you start with 2 compute engine, and you can scale up to 100 compute engine, provided you are 80% occupied with the two compute engine that you started with. Then the third one will start. If that is 80% consumed, then the fourth one will start. So these are the things you get out of the box just as a customization in our Microsoft AI offerings, and you can set it up and deploy your web service in the production. Let's say you are a retail industry and it's a Thanksgiving day. Millions of people gonna hit, and you're gonna scale up to 100 replicas and your web service will work fine, but in the next day nobody shows up. Then you're gonna come down to 2 because that's your minimum and you're still running fine. And that's what we call elasticity. And if you don't have elasticity in production, you are not production ready. Then the big topic, security, right? So I mean secure authentication in this case. So yeah, I'm exposing this as a web service, but how the hell people gonna use it at the endpoints? So we have something like this. You tick a box that yes, make it secured, and then provide primary key and secondary key. So from a consumer standpoint, all you need to know this key, the API and the key, and you can actually customize this key at the time of deployment. You can update this key at any point of time of your development. So you can do those things when you feel like changing or updating. And once you do that, from the other side, from the consumer side, you can actually modify your security primary key and the secondary key and access those things. Right? And this is something out of the box. It's just like a box tick and putting your password, or even box tick and managing your password in a programmatic way. All the facilities are there with you. Right? This is really incredible. Pipeline and CI/CD. When I spoke to all these companies, I asked how many of these are automated. If something goes wrong or something you want to change, how should you do it? Now, I'm gonna call my data scientist here, and he's gonna fix everything. And he's gonna jump to the system manually and change stuff. But that's not something in the production looks like. If it is a production system, you are not allowed to touch my system, right? It has to be a system user who should do the stuff. Now, if you don't have a pipeline defined, there is no way you can automate the whole stuff. There is no way when there is a continuous integration or development that you want to push to the production, you can really do it end-to-end automated way. In our offerings, we have something called machine learning services, and inside that a pipeline. And you have to define the steps, stage 1, get the data, prepare the data. This is the script for the preparation, data preparation. Stage 2, this is where we do training and testing. Then stage 3, model preparation. Stage 4, prediction. And you can set this end-to-end, one after another. And once you do that, it shows something like this, and that's exactly a pipeline. Can you see a run button next to it? Right? You just press that run button, it's gonna start running your pipeline again. If you have changed something, you're gonna update it and run it. That's where your pipeline runs. And this, everything that I'm showing you is from the GUI, but you can always do it from the command line by using Python, by using PowerShell, or whatever language that Microsoft support. Then, the big question, auditing. I had a very funny case here. There is a Swedish customer or a partner, and they are based across Europe. And they have developed a machine learning model with some extra parameter in it, and they are deploying it in multiple places and in multiple countries. When they deploy it in, it has some conditions and parameters, but when they deploy it in Denmark, it has different conditions and parameters, right? And they have done it for 28 European countries. When I went and asked them, what exactly you did? They have no idea what parameter went to when. And they have no idea this model is running in how many places. They even can't say that. So if you are developing a model and you are putting it in production and you really don't have a way to capture where exactly the endpoints are running, then you are doomed. If something goes wrong, you can't even figure out what's wrong. Right? So you should have auditing features in it. And here, everything that you do, starting from an experiment engine that you set, creating a pipeline, setting up a compute engine, setting up a Kubernetes cluster to deploy your web services, accessing your web services. Everything is tracked, and you cannot mess up with it. You cannot delete this stuff. It's there, hardcode like in Bible. Right? So it's there. So every time you want to look at, this is the past place you look all the activities that you have done in the system. And if you want deeper insights, then you have to go inside, app insights at the back and monitoring at the back and find out deeper relationship to these statements. Then the alerts. When something unusual goes, let's say you were running in a machine learning in the production and it's a regression and you got a really unusual number at the end. And if you don't have any alert set up, you cannot notify anybody and nobody knows what is it, then what's the benefit of making predictions if you don't have an alerting system at all? Right? So here is the fundamentals. If you are deploying something, if you are predicting something at the production, it has to be connected with the alerting system. And you should have all the abilities to create alerts on the fly. Because if you're going to sit down and make an alerting system by yourself, integrating a third-party tool to your system, and then creating all these alerts by yourself, God knows it's going to be a 3-month project. And you cannot afford that in your machine learning cycle, maybe. Right? So for us, it looks like this. So you're going to define on what exactly you're going to put the alert, and it has this many parameters. Can you define your condition if it is going beyond that, or if it is matches with this? What exactly is the condition? And let's deploy it. And once it happens, whom should I talk to? These are the things you need to put it in our UI, and this will take it forward. Then the latency, right? There is a lot of real-time prediction happens, next best offer, recommendation, and a lot of stuff around that. And if you don't have a way to track down what is your latency of your machine learning web services that you were asking question to, then you will never come to know whether the results that the customers are getting are they getting it in right time or not? So for us, we have the latency graph by default out of the box. So you know when you hit my web service, what is the millisecond response you got. You know whether you even got a response or not. Right? All these things are tracked down. These are the by default graphs. You can go back and modify them and make it even your own personalized graph. Then, portability. So Microsoft is fine, cloud is fine, but people who does machine learning and AI in some industries, they cannot talk to cloud all the time. Think about a ship going from Denmark to China, and that's in the middle of the sea. They cannot ping to Azure Cloud all the time. So your machine learning and AI product portfolio should have some kind of mechanism to have a portability feature with you. And for us, once you create this Docker image, you can take out anywhere and deploy it anywhere where the Docker runs. So you can take out totally from the Microsoft Cloud, and this is exactly the credential page you're going to find to download your Docker image. You download your Docker image, you run it on your virtual machine, you run it on IoT Edge, you run it on Amazon Web Service or Google Cloud, perfectly fine. Right? So this is what I mean by portability. So you will decide where your product or where your machine learning model or the solution going to run based upon your scenario and cases. So these are the top 10 things in the production that you need to take care of. Of course, I know you could not remember everything. So link to me on my LinkedIn. I will show you my LinkedIn in a second, and I'm going to send you everything that I showed here. Another point to take care of, and this is not related to production, but many people do a mistake here. In a project, it's not a data science project, it's not a machine learning project. There is two huge parties involved in this business. One is a data engineering, and another is a data scientist. You know, most of you people who run your things on big data cluster, Hadoop cluster, Cloudera, Hot2Nux cluster, you have one standalone cluster. Let's say 100-node cluster. And you give access to your data engineer to the same box and data scientist to the same box. But they fire entirely different queries. I'm not saying always, but most of the cases, the data engineer, most of the queries are IO-intensive workloads. And the data scientist, it is CPU-intensive workloads, right? So you should find out a mechanism that people are not locked down to setting their queries to one standalone box. Rather, they will create their cluster when they need it, right? So if you can give this functionality at the development stage, you will see you will increase productivity by almost 30%, cutting down a lot of nonsense questions at your development cycle. If you want to know more, get in touch and we will talk more. With this, I would like to conclude my talk, and this is my LinkedIn. Scan it, ask me a question, whatever you like, and I will be happy to answer you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.